Okay, we're back with this thing, and we're gonna switch it up. I had intentions of doing this this week, just like I did last week, but I need to get better at that. I'll tell you guys why in a moment. These are looking good. Not as deep as last week, because to be honest, man, such a rookie with the cam. I was running out of battery life, so I'm like, you know what? I don't have time to. I don't have battery. So the luxury of like sneaking a peek at these sets, I wish I would have, and then I would have seen that the depth was about here, which is still good, but I wanted like last week because again, we're squatting for the funsies of it, but nevertheless, while we're here, we might as well get ourselves a little bodybuilding. And I really like just how far my knees travel when I do back squat on a low bar at that. So that's one thing I did realize with the technique that I used last week. Not to mention when I really get down there, besides the extra quads, it's like my adductors. I could just feel them like really do their thing, stretch and contract. So yeah, this is not acceptable, but we will get better at it. But again, I bring up this point: like if I don't have my camera, whether it be my cell phone or my actual camera, and I'm at the gym, I feel naked. Like it's a vital piece of equipment at this point. It's something that I need. And bro, I don't care how long you've been doing this. Like I think it's just so beneficial. You catch things as they happen, and not only that, but sometimes I mean, just for the sake of tracking progress, like I mean, YouTube, upload your crap there, make a library, put it down as unlisted. No one has to see it, but you could have your own little log up there. So again, my bad, but again, still a really good day. This was, I guess, the really because I took the week off, and then the week before was. Actually, this is my the third leg day back, I think, in a way. Anyhow, so at this point, we're trying to build momentum. And I guess, why do I not come out of the gates running is because I want to give myself some room to grow, some room in which to build some momentum. I don't want to, like have these next 10 weeks or so, like set out to train in, that's nasty, before I deload and then like me just kind of run out of gas somewhere around like week 4 or 5. So the way I look at it, it's like, I guess the best analogy I can think of, it's like, would it be easier to like charge a door open if you're like right next to it, or do you want to take a few steps back and then do your thing? So that's kind of sort of what we're doing right now, taking a few steps back so we can really build up some oomph and get after it. So started with the lower body stuff this go around. RDLs are finally looking alright. So remember how I said, I do them with a little, like my legs, I think a little straighter than most. I kind of switched that up, and I like the way this feels. I like the way this feels a lot. So I still have some remnants of just imbalances in my hip from when I did hurt myself about like 12 years ago now. And this movement, when I nail it like this, is just one of those things where I'm like, wow, it feels like it's doing that area some good, like it's being challenged in a good way. So yeah, again, 275 still. I'm just really, I added reps, a bunch of reps, but not just mindless reps. Each rep during this whole series was significantly better than anything I've done in the past. So I'm really digging this one. I'm really starting to look forward to my Romanian deadlifts. Like they're starting to click and just become second nature. So I think this was my better set of both sets. So yeah, here we go. So I wanted to again just take you guys through a whole training session, give you guys some like commentary like right then and there in the spot. I can understand why some of you guys liked it more. I think it was pretty 50-50. But like I think that time I had to do it because I had my back against the wall. I needed to upload something. I didn't have time to like paste it together and do this voiceover. So I had to make it good. And and again, I think before I started that session, I kind of knew what direction I wanted to head in with that damn thing, and that helped a lot. But I try to do this whole week in that manner, and again, I just need to really pick out my points that I want to go over and really drill those for you guys. So, this thing here, I think this was pretty close to a PR in the lower rep ranges with this. It was not meant to be a lower rep range day, but see, this is where you still kind of fight the ego, man. Like a homie that was on the other side was, he saw me adding weight to this side, and I will unload these things. I will load these things like asymmetrically. Like I'll have more on one side within reason than the other side. And he saw me doing that, and he's like, "Can I just put this plate here?" So you see those? I think it's a 45 on that side. So it's 300s and then a 45. And I was like, yeah, do it. And that automatically knocked me out of my desired rep range. But I'm like, okay, maybe it was meant to be, right? Let's try it. And guess not strong enough yet. Can't do, 695 in the double digit rep ranges just yet. So I did want to show you guys this little setup I got here. Remember, I kind of went over it just a little bit. So on this Cybex squat press is what it's called. See, I lift up that seat. There's this, there we go. Makes it just a little bit higher. I still wish I could get it just a tiny bit higher even. And then that back pad there so that we don't bottom out earlier than we like. So yeah, I used Cynthia as an example. She's a smaller female, and I think especially in her case, it's like, basically, if we don't lift her up, like she's, I wouldn't say poorly aligned, but this definitely makes it a lot easier. You can get a few more inches of good range of motion without having, the leg press butt wink. So anyhow, yeah, see, there you go. Like I think that probably is going to bother some of you guys, the asymmetrical loading. Not really a big problem with the majority of these machines, so long as the machine is like, pretty solid. You should be okay. So my pressing is definitely the thing that, after taking the week off, was going to take the longest to kind of regenerate. But I'm fine with that, because I have, and I'll get into this, especially with my flat presses, it's more relevant there, just a new way of approaching my flat or my dumbbell pressing, my chest pressing, for the most part in general, that I don't believe I've done in years. And it's helping me keep my shoulders healthy, and when my shoulders are healthy, it's, guess what, my elbows are healthy. Like, just it all trickles down. And again, like when you're healthy, you just have more predictable output. That's probably one of the hardest parts about being banged up, is it either with myself or with my athletes, is that when they are banged up, just makes things so unpredictable. Like I'll gladly take the rate of progression with an athlete that's like 10, 15, 20 years into training. It's much slower, but at least let's have it be predictable. Whereas when an athlete is working around a lot of stuff, so frustrating, because man, it's not fun. Like the least amount of fun I've ever had with my training has been exactly that, when I haven't been healthy. And that's why, again, I encourage you guys to do what you can to stay healthy. It's not sexy, right? But honestly, that's probably, or it's something that's like, yeah, we know, Bert, right? But tell you what, when you look at most people's like training careers, like that is the one thing that holds them back, like more than anything else, over the course of 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20. It's not necessarily, bad decisions in training. Something wasn't optimal enough, but more so just the fact that here and there you'll have a few streaks where you're not healthy, and honestly, that is what makes for the the most frustrating and least progressive of times. I think it's a little clavicular head when I'm doing that. Ooh, that gets me going. So again, for those of you guys who like the way we did it last time, I'm gonna throw those in because that was a lot of fun, and I look forward to having both good and bad moments in front of the camera, and right then and there, like true game speed, actually going over, what I think about the situation. But yeah, a lot of you guys, I guess, like this format too. I guess it's been compared to like some, it's like relaxing or chill, which is not my intention, not at all. If I could pick, I'd like to be something more like that CT Fletcher cat. But hey, man, you are who you are, and that is, I'll tell you what, that is probably one of the most important life lessons I've ever had. Is that, yeah, man, just like be yourself, like whatever it is, because no one can be you as well as you can be. Um, it's and very few people run with that, with the whole like I'm just gonna be me. And when you do, be surprised how it just attracts the right things. So we all love those people who just comfy in their own skin, whether we love it or not. And it's taken a while, man. We weren't always like this, but yeah, at this point we are, man. I'm comfy in that. Um, sometimes ivory white, sometimes a little tan, depending on how much trekking outside we do. And that's one thing that, as we get into these winter months, so historically, it's always been a very, very productive and pale time for me. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that just some of my other like outdoor activities I probably cut down on, and whether I like to hear it or not, it kind of impacts this, right? But historically, yeah, these cold months have always been really good to me. So I'm kind of like in a weird place where it's like, so do I want to trim down just because like I don't mind the way I look. As a matter of fact, I love this look, and I think if I had another like 5-10 pounds, I just like it. I feel like a big dude. Yeah, and the biggest issue is just that I'm always full, which is in its own way just as annoying as being like always like hungry. Like it's grass is always greener. So that's kind of sort of how we feel, man. And yeah, I'm you know what, I'm going to take these next 3 to 4 weeks. If I really catch on fire, which I suspect might happen, I'll just keep going with this gaining. If it's about like we're gonna progress, we will progress. But if it's just kind of more like the standard rate, then I think I'm just going to you know, chill out and and you know, get my little cut on and maybe lose like 15 pounds. I'm thinking CFU weigh-ins probably in the 185 range, and that would take honestly about 15 pounds. I think I can lose that in about 6 to 8 weeks. So pretty accelerated, definitely. But I mean, that's how I like it. That's how I like my mini cuts. That's how mini cuts should be. I did a really good podcast with what's his name? Jared Feather and Steve Hall on the Revive Stronger podcast, and we went over all things mini cut. So again, mini cut is just you're just, it's these little bridges in between your gaining phase. It's not necessarily a go cash in fat loss phase. I think for me to cash in, which I think if we're just talking about more casual reasons to lose fat, to just freaking look good, man, nothing wrong with that, I'd have to be about 175, right? That's about 15 pounds over stage weight. Then we're ready for what I like to call the Cancun Open. We too classy for the Daytona Beach Open. But no, 185, just enough where, okay, the amount of food that I require at 185 to gain weight is just significantly less than what I require to gain weight at 200 pounds. So, so we have some decision making to do. So, hey, look, arms ain't looking half bad. They're not looking half bad. They're not, you know, like the other Bert, the Jeff Alberts, but they're looking okay. Again, the biggest priority has just been like this, man. I think, look, I used to feel, it's funny, is like you climb up levels, the freakier, things just get freakier. Because I remember when I ran track, I ran the 400, which is just, my God, it's like literally they get all the dumbest kids and they're like, you're gonna sprint a whole lap. And I remember, I was decent at it, but I also remember that like my body type relative to other guys, um, I was just a little bit more barrel chested, for sure, and which might explain, I guess, my lung capacity to some extent because I never really have to work on the endurance part too much. Um, but I felt like barrel chested and stubby relative to these guys. I was like, man, I'm just like this little barrel. And then it's funny now, like I decided to pick bodybuilding. Obviously, different sort of body types excel at that. Very different from a 400-meter runner. So these are all myo-reps, by the way. And y'all should know what it is and look at the spreadsheet, and it's all there. It'll tell you what I'm doing in this description below. But yeah, usually on stage I have like one of the, especially in the lightweight class, like one of the like dinner frames. Like my rib cage just isn't nearly as thick as I like it. So I've been very much all about like getting like in the back and the chest, just puffing out a little bit more, because I do feel that on the front and back poses you don't notice it too much, but I think, not puffy enough to the point where when I do hit my side shots, especially my side relax shots, I don't have this big massive frame. So yeah, good times though, man. Good times. A lot of problems to solve here, but we're having fun doing it. Now, to get into what I did change up with in my pressing, but before I do that, there's a few movements that I have brought in that are new movements, and what I'm going to do. I think this grind was pretty epic, by the way. I think there's a few movements that I want to share with you guys, that old staples that we did bring back, and I'll do those in the format that I'd say 50% of you guys like. What do we call that format? In the trenches, mic'd up. I don't know. We don't have a mic, and that was actually one of my biggest concerns. It was like, is this gym music going to get in the way? But the camera did pretty well. So anyhow, yeah, few new movements. We'll show those and kind of go over the rhyme and the reason for them. Also, let's see here. So my dumbbell pressing. So I think for the longest of time, that's what's going to come up here. We started right around this point, end of the week, last pressing session, things started to go a little better for us. So this is the last upper body day of the week. I, for years, have kind of, when chest pressing, I've retracted my shoulder blades the way I do on a bench press. Now, if I were bench pressing, I still think based off like where your hands end up or where you're benching in terms of width, typically, I think it's probably in your best interest to perhaps pinch your shoulder blades back. But man, like my homie from N1 training, so I've mentioned him a few times now, Chasm, he has a video on basically to retract or not retract your shoulder blades when chest pressing. And so after you're done with this, go check that out. But that's something that I've been doing with my dumbbell bench pressing. And it's, first of all, I think it's done a number in like development, but most importantly, like I just feel healthy up here for like the first time in a while. I really thought that a lot of the pains that I deal with, because again, I was still strong, I was still productive. I'm like, it's just how it's going to have to be. But almost immediately, this really helped with that. Look, I'm not protracting at the end. I'm not. But I'm just kind of more so focusing on like what my humerus is doing, which, basically what my pec is going to do is pull this thing across my body, right? That's basically it. And boy, has it just made a huge difference. So N1, Chasm, put it up on the search, retracting scapula, and you should find the video. I'll link it down here. What am I doing? That's Boomer Bert. But look, 105s. I think I was doing the 110s with these flat dumbbell posies, and one of them is mislabeled as a 150 actually. And so yeah, great place. So, and that's, I think the pressing and the squatting, those are two movements that just really thrive off like me being heavier. So we'll see. But I might just I might just decide to stay here a little bit longer. And then another concern is like, look, guys, I'm fucking almost 38 here, so your skin can't be doing this thing as much. So I don't want loose skin either, so it's my skin's tight. So yeah, like I said, a lot of problems, but they're small problems. It's bodybuilding in the grand scheme. Not that it doesn't matter, because we shouldn't. I don't mean it like that, but it's a nice little distraction while there's all this other shit going on. So, yeah. So anyhow, having a good time. Year 21 of training, drug free. Haven't done everything right. Haven't stayed healthy the whole time. But that's why I'm here, trying to make it better for you guys. And but the whole time we have been having fun, I'll tell you that. And y'all should too. So make that a priority. Have fun, stay healthy. Know your basic fundamentals. And time flies, man. So anyhow, that is it. I need to get my pre-workout protein shaken. I need a little something before I go train. Thank you guys for joining me, per usual. Appreciate y'all stopping by.